Alright, welcome back to another Megiddo Gaming video. Just doing a too long, didn't read version of the AMA for the developers that happened today. So I just wanted to go over some key points that I've highlighted and, kind of talk about them a little bit. Some of the responses that they gave, I'm not going to go into detail on because they were kind of just, personal questions about, preferences and what kind of classes they like, things like that. So the big thing is that this was a developer's AMA and had nothing to do with the events with Bandgate and Perfect World Entertainment. So I definitely appreciate Julia clarifying that for everyone, because it's definitely important to look out for those types of things, so that way we're not asking questions that are not relevant to the topic at hand. But one of the first things I wanted to go over was a statement by one of the developers. Item level system is not doing what it should be, which is giving players a good, accurate representation of their strength relative to the content. This is something we are actively working on right now to make item level more accurately represent the strength of what it is granting it. So yeah, that's always been a big concern about, people at the minimum item level requirement. That doesn't show how well that they can play their character, or what abilities that they have unlocked and how they use them. So I could definitely say that trying to code for something as far as how well a person plays a character would be near impossible. The fact that they're actually looking into it is awesome, because when you look at especially trickster rogues, for instance, it's a very technical type of class, and so you could have a trickster rogue that's fully decked out best in slot against someone that maybe is 2,000 item level less, but if that person that has less item level knows how to play the character, they will stomp the other trickster rogue completely into the ground. It's not like some classes, and I'm not taking a stab at great weapon fighters by any means, but when you have a pure DPS class that's not as intricate, it's easier at different item levels to be able to obtain great output damage without a lot of effort. Players are probably getting tired of me saying this word these days, but the overall goal is balance. Mod 16 will certainly have more changes, some big, that will continue our direction towards balance, as well as our direction of improving old systems that aren't functioning as well as we'd like, such as refinement, professions, and salvage, which have all been adjusted in recent times. It is a constant challenge of making sure this is enough new content for players to engage in, as well as updating or improving existing systems and class balance. We are tackling them one by one, so I'd expect some more in the future. So yeah, a lot of us that are upset about the current reworks and rebalances for mod 15, this is just a starting point. If you go back, there was always at least maybe one class that had a full tweak in a mod. Sometimes there'd be tiny little tweaks here and there, but rework on this scale cannot be all done in just one mod. So this is kind of the foundation that we're seeing in mod 15 on the directions that they want to go. We have no plans on the books to introduce a new class, so this kind of goes hand in hand, with the balancing and reworks. It's not even penciled in, and not even as far out as mod 20. That said, we are most seriously discussing allowing more classes other than Paladin to play additional roles. Obviously, if that were to happen, you could expect some significant changes to those classes. And that's something that I've touched on as well, is not focusing on the Trickster Rogue as just a pure DPS class, but also as a control class. And that's something that a lot of the classes can benefit from. If you play tabletop D&D, your ability to take your type of class in so many different directions. If you've ever looked at the stack of books, just the character creations, backstory, all of it, there's so much that you can do in that world, and they've tried to adapt it into a video game and limit it to only certain paths. And so you're going to run into a situation where Master, Infiltrator, Executioner is going to be the best path to go if there's no proper balancing. And even with just 3 different paths, and then like your Paragon paths, you're kind of limiting yourself, but it's also causing an issue that it's hard to explain. It's just you can't go Whisper Knife on a Trickster Rogue because they just cannot output the damage. And to be honest, the way that the developers and the people who've created this game have a stance of that you should be doing this just to have fun. I don't have it posted here, but it was a really long paragraph about how they don't want to release the information on how each little mechanic works and how much damage output is here and all these stats, because they don't want people to focus on that. They want to focus on people being able to play the game, and that's what comes into those balances we talked about earlier in this video about how they want to make just a little easier for us to play the game and enjoy it while still having options available. The next thing is PvP will likely play a bit different in Mod 16, and there may be a shakeup in the current balance of classes in PvP. We shall see. ... Well, I can take from this the fact that the balance and reworks are going over 2 mod period, and they're still even tweaking them now here in the preview. One of the biggest concerns a lot of people have had is that whenever there has to be a change for PvP, it negatively affects PvE, or vice versa. I think what they're doing right now, because there wasn't a whole lot of clarification on exactly what they're working on, is that this half balance is, like I said, the foundation, and then the next balance is where they're going to tweak the difference between PvP and PvE, hopefully. So we'll have to stay tuned for that one. A number of devs watch streams and also share amongst the team interesting informative videos or clips. This is in a response to the question of, do you ever watch streams like Cali Gold and things like that? And so they're saying that they do. So as a content creator myself, and I can't speak on the behalf of other content creators, I know me personally, I'm gonna try and put out a lot more content. I'm still going to speak my mind on negative aspects of the game or how the game is handled, but I'm going to try and do it a little more tactfully, so that way, you know, they're more prone to watch my videos, and then when you give me suggestions in the comments and I read those aloud, that's something that they may be more inclined to look into, now that we know that they're actually paying attention. Now, one of the things, kind of a follow-up to that, is, you know, when are we going to start seeing more giveaways again, like we did with the owlbear mount and other mounts and things like that in streams? And Julia replied, a number of those decisions lay with our publisher, but I know there have been discussions regarding Twitch drops. So now that I've started on Twitch, I'm going to try and increase my follower base and maybe get on their radar a bit, so that way that there's more drops to go around. Because to be honest, the more people that are promoting their content, the more likely that they're going to give those types of items to a streamer, even if they're low level. There will be new weapon sets in Module 16. That's pretty cut and dry. I figured as much since there wasn't anything in Mod 15, but we'll also have to see. It didn't state if they were good. We are looking at some future adjustments with the goal of making the difficulty progression of dungeons smoother by allowing more viable party options and making the statistical elements of the dungeons more forgiving. We'd like the difficulty each group experiences in the dungeon to be more consistent, while allowing players to focus on the mechanics of the fights. Those adjustments could see some of those mechanics adjusted to be more forgiving. Well, this kind of goes with what I was talking about in my previous video about as far as, you know, leveling the dungeon according to, you know, what your experience in the game was. You know, when you go back to something like FBI and you find it a bit of a challenge, or there's lag, or the mechanics don't coincide with, you know, a pickup group and things like that, it can be disheartening not only for new players but for older players as well. And even going far as back as like Kessel's Retreat, there needs to be some kind of incentive for running that old content. Yes, you can run it faster, maybe you can run it slower, but the rewards are still the same. Mod 15 seems to be changing that up a bit with some better rewards, as also the ability of putting dungeons and things like that in hardcore mode, things that are making it more challenging and more rewarding for doing so. Making the different Paragon paths viable is actually a big push for us in Mod 16 we're currently working on, so hopefully we can make the lesser used Paragon paths more exciting and desired. And like I said, they already have a good starting off point with Mod 15, and then the Paragon Pass, it looks like that's going to be a focus on Mod 16, but I feel that it's going to be an ever-growing thing. They're not going to have everything perfect by Mod 16. There'll just be more improvements on top of what we're already seeing in Mod 15. Here's a good one. in response to +5 ring drops in content as well as achievements. Achievements and trophies are part of most mods, and as far as I'm aware will continue to be. The +5 ring achievement was a bit brutal. We've made the note to not make future achievements that are that hard or random based to complete. That said, we have also taken a look at the Cholt or Amu hunt drop rates for mod 15 and have made some improvements. A trophy should always be rewarded now, and some of the other drop rates have been bumped up. Overall, it should be a bit less painful to grind that content now. Well, as for someone like myself, and like probably many others that have been doing Fane of the Night Serpent over and over with not even a +4 or +5 to their name, this is very good news. I hope that this is something that they'll continue to do in the future though, because retroactively fixing a mod only helps newer players. It doesn't help like current endgame players, because there'll be new content that comes out that has better drops, and we still wasted all that time grinding for something that's now not going to be useful for us. With Amu and Cholt, it's still fairly new. Those rings are still going to be, you know, current best in slot for a lot of options. But this is something that I'm definitely hoping that they continue to work upon and keep up on going forward in future mods. We have been working on in-game economic adjustments to help with the backlog, which PS4 is also hitting the cap these days as well, so it's not just a PC problem. Those changes will take time, and we will have to keep working towards more improvements to the AD economy to eventually tackle the issue. Now, the thing about this is they are still working on that, and they've already started working that now with the AD and gold sinks in the new profession system, the Alphonse Knox, you know, only item that you can get, you know, just by throwing the AD at it. I think that they're going to have to do a lot more with AD sinks just to get us over that. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time. I've gauged it for probably about maybe a year based off current methods that they're utilizing. But if they can put some other things out there, maybe we'll see the backlog deplete a lot faster within that year's time. I would say the way to advance economically past the limit of an AD cap would be work on getting items that trade for decent amounts of AD. There is not a plan to increase the AD cap at this time. So the current AD cap is actually easily achieved, and sometimes that can be disheartening of how much rough AD that you have stockpiled or you are stockpiling currently. But I agree with this myself, because most of the videos I put out on how to make AD don't really revolve around the rough AD aspect of the game, because there's so many different items that you can craft, especially now with mod 15 coming out, and other items that you can gather such as posters and potions and things like that, that you should focus more on the pure AD and not the rough AD conversion. I hope you found some of that information important to you. Maybe that answered some of the questions that you had. What other questions would you have liked them to answer? Now keep in mind this is a developer blog, so anything involving bans or anything, put that aside for now. We're just discussing on what changes or questions you would have had for them. I want to compile all of these questions that I've been asking you and that you reply to me in comments or Twitter or anything, and then make this list and then maybe do a stream about it where we ask additional questions, get other people's feedback. And since they said that they are watching streamers, that's why I'd want to put it on my Twitch channel. Speaking of my Twitch channel, if you look at my Twitch panel, you'll see that I adjusted the times of when I'll be doing streams is mostly from 10 AM to 2 PM. Pretty much any day I can do that. So if you want to watch my streams, make sure you follow me on Twitter, so that way I can let you know a few minutes before 10 AM if I'm actually going to be doing a stream that day or not, depending on internet speed or if I have other plans. Speaking of plans, I'm going to try so hard to get a weekend update video done on Thursday. It might not come out till Friday, just because I have a lot that I'm doing and preparing for moving at the end of the month. But I want to thank all of you for getting us over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. So if you had any questions that didn't get answered or questions that you didn't get a chance to ask in the AMA, please let me know those down in the comment section below. as well as what do you think about how they responded to these. Are you happy with the answers you received? And you know what? I will see you out there. Thanks for watching. Click the left to see the previous video, click to the right to see another video, and down at the bottom to subscribe. And to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel, follow on Facebook and Twitter.